I drove home in labor. Hey my loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ash Nikki and I'm back with another video. So today's video is my pregnancy story. So I found out I was pregnant on a Monday. One of my old close friends, excuse me, I just ate some cereal, girl. So me and my close friend had went out to the diner, and I always get one specific meal, which is a breakfast meal, because I am a sucker for breakfast. As you can see, I just ate cereal. I love my breakfast. I love my pancakes, I love my eggs, I love my waffles, I love my French toast, I definitely love my bacon. So that day I ordered that platter, and then I ordered another one, and I was telling her about my pyramid cycle. See what I did there? It's TMI, so I always call it pyramid. I was telling her about my cycle and how it changes from April to June. Between one of those months, my cycle is gone. My pyramid is gone for 2 weeks because it's changing. So it was April, and I was telling her that, no, it was May, and I was telling her that, and she's like, oh girl, no, you might be pregnant, blah 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 blah. I'm like, no, I'm not pregnant, because I know my body and I know how my cycle works. I know that I'm gonna be 2 weeks without it, and it's gonna pop back up, and everybody gonna be mad because everybody gonna think, and then yeah. And she's like, no, she's like, I think you're pregnant. I'm like, nah. So I go back home and I tell my fiance, and he's like, no, because we've been together for years, so he knows my body as well. So he's like, no, it's just your cycle changing. So I'm like, exactly, that's exactly what I told her. And he's like, okay. So then that was on a Saturday. Sunday went by, I went by my regular day, and then Monday came by, and for some reason, well, not for some reason, it was more I wanted to prove her wrong and just get it over with, and take a test and get it over with, but I also had like the urge to take it at the same time. So I go ahead and I tell my fiance he was going to the store, and I was like, babe, get me a test. And he's like, for what? For who? And I'm like, for me. He's like, why do you want a test? And I'm like, I just want to take it to shut her up. And he's like, okay. We kind of got into an argument though, because he was like, you're wasting money for nothing because you're not pregnant. And I'm like, well, I just want to prove her wrong so she can shut up and leave me alone. And he's like, okay, whatever. So he went and he got it, and I go into the bathroom, I do the shebang, I leave it on top of the toilet, I take a shower, and I do what I gotta do. I leave it in the bathroom, and then I come back, and then I looked at it, and I seen 2 lines, and I'm like, excuse me, what's this? I rubbed my eyes like 3 times to make sure that I saw what I was seeing. So I'm like, so the way that the bathroom was set up, we lived in my fiance's grandma's house, so the way that, the house was set up, our room was literally right next to the bathroom. So I yelled, babe, or Tolentino, because that's what I call him. And so he come over or whatever, and he and I hold the test in his face, and he's like, what's that? What does that mean? I'm like, dude, it means that I'm pregnant. Like, what do you mean? What does that mean? And he's like, what? And I was like, apparently I'm pregnant. I'm very pregnant, apparently, because the lines they weren't too dark, but they were there. You could see them, like, from far away. So it's like, I'm pregnant. Because you know how usually if you're, like, super early, you'll be really think, no. So the first thing that went through both of our minds was, we gotta, step up. We gotta grow up, because at that time, I had a good paying job at that time, but we still didn't have an apartment. We were looking for an apartment, but it wasn't in a rush. Like, it wasn't like, we'll stay here for like a year or 2. Like, it's okay. But, finding out that I was pregnant, it's like, I wasn't going to bring another child into his grandma's house. Like, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to bring a child into another person's home. I just can't do that. Like, I'd rather, unless it's my mom, because, my mom's my mom. But anybody else, like, I couldn't. So we had to, you know, move fast, because I know 9 months is 9 months, but 9 months go like this. So we start thinking about what we're gonna do, and I was already a month pregnant, and I did not know. I had no clue. I took 3 pregnancy tests, and I'm like, this can't be true. So I went to the doctors to get the blood test or whatever, and I was already a month pregnant. So I was like, damn, like, and then that month, I found out in May, so I was pregnant by April. I was pregnant by April 5th. So I'm like, damn, that month I went out to party and drink. That month I got this tattoo. That month, like, I did everything. I was drinking so much coffee, I was drinking so much Pepsi, and I just started thinking, I'm like, oh my God, like, I know the fetus is really small, but still, like, I was doing all this extra stuff, and, like, all I was thinking was, like, you know, I hope my baby's fine or whatever. Because I'm not the kind of person, like, even if I wasn't ready, I wasn't going to have an abortion. Like, you know, to each their own. If you want to have an abortion, great for you. But you know, I personally cannot have one. So it was like, I'm going to keep this baby. Like, the thought of, you know, me not wanting the baby or me not having the baby didn't even cross my mind. Like, I'm the type of person, I'm very, I don't know how to say it. Like, I'm very, you know, if I do something, there's always a consequence to it. So it's like, you know, if I'm doing the shebang, a baby's going to come out of it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know it was going to happen that damn soon. And at that time, I was working a job from 5 p.m. to 1:30 in the morning. By the time I got home, it was 2:30. And then I was also going to school for a CNA. So I was getting home around 2:30 to wake up at 6 in the morning to go to school, get out at 3, come home, be home for like an hour, and then dip to work. You know, my days I was always exhausted. And then, you know, it all started making sense, you know, why I was more drained, because I was like, damn, like, I was pregnant while I was doing all that. Like, I barely ever got any sleep. The most sleep I ever got was like 4 hours when I was doing all that. So, and, you know, every single day I drank coffee. I drank my coffee every single day. So, that happens. So I go to my job, because I worked at a cleaning company, but it was like very heavy duty cleaning. And I go to my job, and I tell them, you know, like, I'm pregnant. And, you know, I know that your body can handle what you've been doing prior, but that was Monday. Tuesday I went to the hospital. So Wednesday was when I told my boss, because, you know, I wasn't going to tell him I think I'm pregnant. So I wanted to, you know, have paper proof that I was pregnant. So the Friday before I found out that I was pregnant, there was like a new policy or new rules to the job or whatever, and we had to carry very, very heavy backpack vacuums. And you know, I had told my boss that same day that he gave it to me, that Friday, I was like, listen, this is way too big for me, and it's heavy on my back. Like, I cannot, you know, walk around with this. I can't even bend with this. Like, it hurts my back. So it's like, you know, if I'm already telling you something and you refuse to change it, and then, you know, I found out I'm pregnant, who's not gonna, you know, throw a fit about that? And he was still not trying to do anything about it. So I was like, you know what, like, it's either my baby or money. And come on now, the baby comes first. Like, I'll get a job anywhere else. So I resigned, even though it hurted me so much, because it was a really good job. It was really chill, and it paid really well. But, you know, I wasn't gonna lose my baby over no job, because then I wouldn't be able to live with myself. I would have quit the job if I would have lost my, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I would have really lost my baby, I would have quit the job regardless. So I don't care. Like, now it's like, oh, I wish I could go back, but whatever. Anyways, my first 3 months of the pregnancy, they were horrible. I could not consume anything. I couldn't even drink water. Like, as soon as I would drink the water, it would come right back up. Like, and it would come up cold. So it's like, you know that it didn't even touch your stomach. Like, it would come back as cold as it was when I drank it. Like, it was disgusting. I would throw up anything and everything. I'll throw up water. I'll throw up any kind of food, any kind of soft soup, anything. I threw it up. The only thing that I started living off of was Ensure. That was the only thing that I could consume. And then I started getting better in July after my birthday's July 31st. So after my birthday, I started getting better. And, you know, I was able to start eating and I was happy. I was like, yay, you know, I can eat now. I can eat whatever I want. I started getting my cravings. I didn't really have crazy cravings. It was more like I just wanted cheese. Anything with cheese on it, I wanted it. So if it was pizza, macaroni and cheese, lasagna, anything that had cheese on it. A grilled cheese, I just wanted anything that had cheese on it. So then that goes by. Then the gender reveal comes on August 31st, I think. Find out I was having a boy, which was exactly what I wanted, and I was super stoked. Me and my fiance were the happiest people in the world. And then in October, we finally got this apartment. We moved in, which is very hard to move when you are pregnant. Not that it's hard, but it's very exhausting. Like, and it's like we didn't even have much because we never lived anywhere else. So we were literally really taking what we had in our room, but still it was like it was, I don't know, I feel like it was a lot, but maybe it's just a lot because I was pregnant. So we moved in. I was stoked, he was stoked, like we were living in our own place, and now it's like we live here. But this place had nothing whatsoever. It was super empty. And we started getting things around November 1st was when everything started going downhill. When I tell you everything started going downhill, everything started going downhill. So remember, we moved in October. So to be exact, we moved October 24th. It was a Saturday. And we were shopping for things that we needed in the house because we had just moved in. And I started getting these pains. And me being me, not ever being pregnant before, you know, I'm chalking it up as it's cramps. It's just cramps. It's just cramps. Like, I'm cool, I'm fine. And then I remember, like it was yesterday, we got stuck in traffic because it was 6 p.m. And I'm sitting down in the car. My fiance's the one driving. And I always sit up super straight. I don't know why, but I always sit up super straight in the car. So I'm sitting like that, and I start getting the pains, and I'm like, ooh, I need to lay back. So I start laying back or whatever. Girl, when I tell you, they started hurting so much more once I started laying a little back. And then when I came back forward, girl, what was that for? It was so horrible. The pain was so horrible. But I'm like, because I've always had really bad cramps, so I'm like, it's just cramps. It's just cramps. I'm cool. My mom happened to call me. She's like, what are you doing? So I tell her what I'm doing. And she's like, why you sound like that? And I'm like, because I'm having cramps. And she's like, you're having cramps or you having contractions? And I'm like, I'm having cramps. Like, I can't be having contractions yet. Because at that point, I was like 7.5 months, I think. I believe I was 7.5 months. I'm not sure. But anyways, I'm like, they're not contractions. I can't be having contractions yet. The baby's not ready. And she's like, okay, well, let me know. Because, the first thing that mothers ask anybody that's pregnant, their daughter that's pregnant is, do you want to go to the hospital? I'm like, no, I don't. I hate the hospital. I legitimately hate the hospital. I have to be dying to go to the hospital. Like, I will refuse to go to the hospital under any circumstance besides the fact that I was having contractions. So I was like, no. And she's like, okay, well, call me if, the pain gets worse or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So me and my fiance do what we gotta do. And I ended up dropping him at work because we have one car only. And at that point, he only had his permit, so he couldn't, take our car. So I dropped him off at work and I went to my mom's house. And at this point, it's already 9 p.m., like 9:30ish. So I go to her house just to chill because I always went over there every Friday. And the pain started again. So she's seeing my discomfort. And I'm like, nope, I'm not going to the hospital. Stop looking at me like that. And she's like, you got to go to the hospital. I'm like, no, I'm not going to the hospital. I'm cool. And then the pain started getting worse and worse and worse. And she's like, I'm taking you to the hospital. I don't care what you say. But this was an ongoing little fight from 9 p.m. to 12. Because I was refusing. I was like, no. So then she finally was like, I'm taking you to the hospital. I don't care what you say. So I was like, all right, whatever. I was like, we don't go to the hospital for nothing. So we go to the hospital. And, you know, they bring me in quickly because I'm pregnant or whatever. And I'm only 7.5 months. So they want to see what's going on with the baby. So they put the, you know, the little monitor thingies on the stomach, the 2 straps. His heart rate is good. But I am definitely having contractions. Not Braxton Hicks, not fake contractions, not imaginary contractions, no. Girl, I was having contractions at 7.5 months. And I was like, what? Like, the doctors was looking at me and they was like, no, you're definitely having contractions. And I'm like, what? So in my head, I'm over here hype as hell because I'm like, you know, I'm like, the pain hurts, but it's not that bad. You know, not being pregnant before, not knowing how bad it gets when you're giving birth. You know, I'm like, oh, I can chalk this up. I'm definitely going to have a normal pregnancy, a natural pregnancy with no epidural because this barely hurts. And I'm telling all this to my mom, and my mom looking at me like, girl, you're going to need that epidural. You're not going to be able to take it. And I'm like, no, these contractions don't even hurt that much. Like, yeah, they hurt and they leave me out of breath, but it's like, they're not that bad. So the doctor decides to go ahead and go check me to see if I was open at all. Tell me why I was 3.5 centimeters open at 7.5 months. Like, I was already open. And me and my mom's like, what do you mean that I'm open already? And she's like, you're already open. I'm like, oh my God, like what? So, and I think what helped is the fact that my room was upstairs and I got, you know, I walk up the steps a lot. And the apartment is on the 2nd floor, so I definitely walk up the stairs way too much. So, they wanted to keep me there. They kept me for like an hour. They kept me for like a day, I think it was. A day or two. And I went home and I went by my days as normal. I was 30, no, I wasn't 7.5 months. I know I was 30 weeks. I know I was 30 weeks. So, my 35th week, it has started happening again. So I got really bad contractions again. And I'm like, ooh, girl. And my mom's like, do you want to go to the hospital? And again, I say no. I'm like, Mom, it's going to be the same thing as the last time. They're just going to monitor me and send me home. And she was like, I still want to check, you know, make sure that the baby's fine, blah, 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 blah. So to please her, I was like, all right, let's go. Pick me up and let's go. So we went to the hospital. And the same thing as always. They just checked me. They seen the baby was fine. And that's it. Well, no, that's not it. They checked me. And this time I was 5 centimeters open. So from the 30 weeks to the 35th week, I opened up to 5. So the 30th week I was 3.5 centimeters and I opened up 1.5 centimeter more by the 5th week. So I'm like, oh my God, like this baby really trying to come out. So at that point they decided to give me the injection for the baby's lungs because they was like, okay, this is your 2nd visit. And, you know, if you continue to come back and you're continuing to be open, like, you're going to end up giving birth before you're supposed to. So, to prevent him coming out with lungs that don't function, you know, properly, we'd rather give you this injection. So, they gave it to me or whatever. And I tell you, those injections hurted. Ooh, they hurted. So, they do that. They monitor me again for like a day. Oh, I forgot. I left out a big part. So, the 35th week, when they checked me or whatever, the nurse, she had messed up and told me that they were inducing me because I was 5 centimeters open and I was 35 weeks. So, she said, girl, you better call your fiance because, you know, that's what I was talking about. They was like, you know, and they was like, girl, you better call your fiance, tell him to get out of work and come over here because you're going to give birth in a little bit. And I'm like, huh? I was like, what you mean? I'm going to give birth? And she was like, yeah, so if your fiance wants to see his child come out, I suggest he comes. And I'm like, what? My fiance had just gotten to work. Well, my fiance, yeah, I already know his name, Alan, had just gotten to work. It was 9 p.m. I mean, he works at 9 p.m., so it was like 10. And I'm like, he's only been there for an hour. And they're like, no, well, he has to come because you know, you're gonna give birth, and if he wants to see his baby come out, he has to come. So I hurry up and I call him. I'm like, babe, you need to hurry up and get here. I'm gonna get induced. Da, 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 da. So this boy rushed, and that day I let him take the car because, you know, I was in so much pain, and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to pick you up in the morning, because I always took him and picked him up. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to pick you up in the morning. So I was like, you just take the car, just please be careful. So he took the car. So that day, girl, when I tell you that boy flew to the damn hospital, he flew to the damn hospital for the doctor to tell us that the nurse was confusing me with another patient. What? You just made me, little old Ashley, tell her fiance that he had to get out of work. So now he just lost a whole day of work because y'all confused me with a different patient. Oh, hey, I was upset. So me and my fiance were really upset. So they monitored me for that day, and they sent me home. They sent me about my day. So I go home, you know, everything's fine. Up until the 37th week. Up until the 37th week. So the 37th week, it was Christmas Eve, and I went to my regular prenatal checkup, and my midwife, she's like, how are you feeling? You know, she knows about everything that's been going on or whatever, and she's like, okay, well, let's check you and see how dilated you are. So she's like, okay, well, you're still at 5, but you're like aiming more to 5.5. And once you hit 6 centimeters, you know, you're in active labor, so you have to be in the hospital. So she was like, at this point, just for you to go home, eat, shower, you know, get your house situated, get the baby stuff situated, get yourself situated, get your hospital bag, and then head to the hospital. I was like, what? She's like, yeah. So she wrote down a paper for me, like, you know, stating that she is sending me to the hospital. So that day, I decided to procrastinate all the way until 12 o'clock because I'm like, I don't want to go to the hospital. It's Christmas Eve. Like, out of every day, Christmas Eve, like, I'm not about to have Christmas, baby. So I went to the hospital at like 12, and for the same thing. And the same thing happened. They gonna tell me that I'm cool, and they just gonna monitor me for 24 hours. And I was like, I'm sorry. I gotta go. And it's like, well, we suggest, I don't care what y'all suggest, because at this point, my baby is fine, I am fine, and if something's wrong, I'm gonna rush in here. So, I'm leaving. It's Christmas. I'm not gonna stay my Christmas in the freaking hospital. I'm sorry, I'm not. So he's like, okay, we understand, they let me go. I was like, put my clothes on, I left. I enjoyed my little Christmas, I enjoyed everything with my family, and then days go by. New Year's Eve day, I go to my checkup again, because, you know, once you hit that last month of your pregnancy, you get checked every single week. So I go to my checkup again. It was New Year's Eve, and my midwife, it wasn't my midwife, it was a different midwife, but I'd seen her a lot. Whenever my midwife wasn't available, she was there. So she already knew me, she already knew my situation, and blah, blah, blah. So she's like, how you feeling? And I'm like, I'm just tired. she's like, what do you mean? Like, what are you tired? She's like, you tired, like physically tired, like you want to sleep all the time, or you're tired of what you're going through? And I was like, both. But I'm more tired of what I'm going through, because at this point, I'm in so much pain. The doctors aren't doing nothing. They're not giving me nothing for the pain, because, you know, I'm pregnant. They can't give me nothing for the pain. And I'm tired of it. Tylenol wasn't doing nothing for me. So I was like, I'm tired of it. So she's like, between me and you, do you want to get, I forgot the name, but I'm going to just describe it. So what they do is they get up in there and they move their fingers around to dislodge, I think it's the placenta or the mucus plug. They dislodge something, and that supposedly speeds up labor. So he's like, I'm going to do that for you, because I know you're in a lot of pain, and what you're going through is like, you know, it's too much. And I'm like, yeah. So she's like, I'm going to do it to you. And she's like, you know, there's a chance that you might go into labor today or tomorrow or the next day. And she's like, but there also is a percentage of women that don't go into labor until their full term. So I'm like, okay. I was like, I mean, we'll take the chances. And she's like, all right. So she did it. And that day I didn't have to go to work. So then New Year's Day, I had to go to work because I was new. I had just started working in December, and in the beginning of December I started working there. So I had to work New Year's Day. I didn't have a problem with it because I'm like, it's time and a half, so I don't care. So I go to work. So, all this time from November up until now, well, from December up until now, while I was working, I was always working with contractions. With no problem. Like, I always had to work with contractions. So, so that day I was working and I started getting contractions, and I'm like, I'm cool, right? I'm cool, right? So they all these people coming in, all the customers, and the majority of the people that walk into because I work at a gift shop in the hospital, so the majority of people that walk into the gift shop are the doctors or whatever, and they see it in my face like I'm in discomfort, something's wrong, and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." It's like, "Is that baby coming?" Because I was big, and he's like, "Is that baby coming yet?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm having a little bit of contractions, so maybe." And then they started getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So I was like, "Oh, child, I gotta call my mom." So I called my mom on FaceTime, and she's like, "Girl, do you want to go?" Because, I'm in a hospital, but I work super far from my house, and, for my family to get there, it's a super hike. So I was like, I'm not gonna go upstairs to the maternity ward up here, like, because it's gonna be super hard for my family to get there. So I was like, "No, I'm not going to the hospital." She's like, "But go upstairs." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And she's like, "But just go." "No, I'm not." So they started getting really bad to the point that I'm just sitting there. I was literally sitting there like this. That's another thing. We're not supposed to have the chair out in our, the gift shop. But I was pregnant. I was having contractions. I was not playing. I did not care. So I'm sitting on the chair, and I'm like, and I'm just grabbing onto everything, and I'm like, "Oh my god, oh my goodness." My mom is looking at me through camera on FaceTime, and she's like, "Girl, go to the hospital. Like, get out. Just close and get out." And I'm like, "I can't do that. I can't." How when you see it in movies, and they're like 1, 2, 3, and then they're like, "Breathe," and then breathe out. That's what I was doing in my head. I'm like, I was just picturing myself like pushing the baby out and just breathing the way that I would breathe if I was pushing. So I'm just like, security guard coming, and he's like, "Ash," and I was like, "What?" He's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine." And I'm over here like, "I'm fine." And he's like, "You're in labor." And I was like, "No, I'm not." He's like, "Yes, you are. Get your ass out of here." And I was like, "No, I gotta stay here. I need to make my money." Because that's another thing. Like, when it comes to me and my money, I don't fucking play. I will stay there unless it's a dead emergency. I will not call out or leave work unless, like, I really, really have to. So he's like, "You gotta go, you gotta go." And I'm like, "No, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine." And he kept arguing with me. And then my mom was arguing with me because my mom hears him, and she's like, "Listen to the security guard." Da, 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 da. And I'm like, "No, I'm fine." So then another thing is working there, I was the only person that worked in the gift shop during the day. So there's 4 workers, and whenever you're working, you're the only person that's working. So I would always hold in my bathroom, break. I would always hold in my pee. Because if we didn't have a bathroom inside the gift shop, so we would have to literally close the whole store and then go to the bathroom. And I was pregnant. I did not feel like doing all that. I did not. So I would always hold it in as much as I can. So then I was like, "Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. I can't hold it anymore." So I go to the bathroom. I go use the bathroom. I put my phone on the counter with my mom on FaceTime, and I go to the bathroom, and then I wipe, and I look at the paper. "Girl, why? Tell me why. Tell me why." The toilet paper was all full of blood. I'm 38 weeks pregnant, and my toilet paper is full of all this blood. And it wasn't just, it wasn't like dark blood. It was bright red blood. So when I look at it, my heart sunk all the way to my booty hole. All the way. And I'm like, ooh. And my mom's like, what? I was like, Mom, I'm bleeding. And she's like, what? And I was like, Mom, I'm bleeding. And she's like, no, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. She's like, is it a lie? And I was like, Amy, my whole toilet paper's full of it from when I wiped. And she's like, you gotta go to the hospital. Girl, when I tell you that I got up off the toilet, when I got up, because, you know, we squat. But I got up, and I turned around to look in the toilet. Girl, tell me why the whole entire, like, bowl in the toilet bowl, was full of blood. Like, literal blood. So much blood. I was like, I started panicking. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, the first thing that goes to your mind is, you know, something's wrong with your baby. So I was like, oh my God, I gotta go. So I hung up on my mom, and I called my store manager, and she's like, you gotta call the district manager because you're closing the store. So I called my district manager. She don't answer. And I'm like, okay, I need to text her. So I texted her. She finally answered. She's like, girl, go to the hospital. Like, you need to get out of there. So I'm like, yeah, okay, thank you. So I go into the store, but I had to close the store. So I had to close the register. And the register is the longest thing to close because it's old. So I'm sitting there in contractions with the chair. I'm sitting there in the chair with contractions, counting out the damn drawer. And I'm like, whew, 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 and I'm just breathing and breathing and breathing. I finally get it all out. I get my stuff and I walk out. I dart it. I go to my car. I got a 1994 Toyota Corolla, and you know those cars are super old. So I had to sit there and wait for my car to heat up. Girl, I got in that car and I took off. I did not care. I was like, this car break down on me. Let it break down on me as long as I'm not in that damn hospital. My mom will come get me, whatever. I drove home. A 30-minute drive. I drove home in labor. You know what that is like? What that feel like? I drove home by myself in labor. Every 5 minutes, mind you, it's a 30-minute drive. Every 5 minutes I had to stop because I was in so much pain. I almost threw up. Like, it was horrible. And at this point, I was on the phone with my mom, and I'm like, I'm gonna call Alan because, you know, it's New Year's Day, so Alan didn't have to work. So I call him, and I'm like, babe, I'm in labor. We've been through this little show so many times. And he's like, you're not in labor. He's like, you're just having contractions. I'm like, babe, I know my body. I'm having contractions. I'm in labor. So get my stuff ready. He did not believe me, but he knew I was in a lot of pain. So once I finally got home, like a whole hour later, when I finally got home, he come outside to help me because, like I told you, I live on the 2nd floor, and I have to go up steps. So I'm like, he comes outside and he's helping me up the steps, and I'm standing there. Every step I go up, I hold on to another step, and I'm like, I can't. And I'm crying. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. So I'm coming up the steps, and the good thing, if y'all seen my apartment tour, the bathroom is right next to the entrance. So I was like, I need to go pee. So I go into the bathroom. And he's helping me, you know, sit down and get up and stuff. So when I finish and I get up, he look in the toilet. Girl, my mucus plug came out. I'm so sorry, it's TMI, but it came out. So he's like, oh my God. And I was like, what? He's like, there's a lot of blood in the toilet. Girl, when I looked in there, by the time I looked up, this boy was already calling my mom. Already on the phone with my mom, like, oh my God, you need to hurry up and come over here. My mom's like, tell her to take an ambulance. And I'm like, no, because the hospitals that are near me are horrible hospitals. So, like, I was like, if I take an ambulance, they're going to take me to the hospital. They're not going to take me to the hospital I'm supposed to go to. So, you got to come and take me to the hospital. So, I'm waiting for my mom to come. I got to the hospital. I left my job at like 7. I got to the hospital at like 9 because the almost whole hour getting home, and then my mom took forever. And the hospital alone is like 20 minutes away from my house too. Girl, I made my mom drive me to the hospital. But this is where the video stops because as I don't know if I told y'all, but I'm making this into a 3-part story. So this is my pregnancy part. My next part is gonna be my labor and delivery, and then my 3rd part will be my postpartum because each of those stories are very long in itself and they need to be very detailed, and I just do not have the time to make it this video because it's gonna be way too long for y'all. So if you like the video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And you know, leave me your comments about your pregnancy story. Like, let me know how your pregnancy went. Let me know, you know, if you gave birth in a hospital, or if you gave birth at home, or if you gave birth in a birth center, water birth, which is something that I really want to do if I ever get pregnant again, which I don't know. But yeah, let me know how your birth story went, and let me know if you like this video. So like, comment, share, and subscribe. Peace out.